Friends, today we're going to be discussing what is a short-term rental. So what is a short-term rental? If you're not familiar with that term, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Airbnb or Vrbo. But what is the secret behind one of the coolest real estate strategies out there? And why is it such a great investment strategy? Well, by the end of this video, I'm going to detail out exactly what a short-term rental is and how you can take advantage of this amazing real estate strategy that will give you amazing profits if done the right way. Over the years, the strategy of short-term rental investing has exploded. Websites like Airbnb, Vrbo, Home2Go, and Sonder have really taken off, and they've capitalized on the short-term rental market. And in doing so, has created an amazing opportunity for investors to take advantage of this segment of real estate investing to make outrageous returns. So let's dive into this topic by first explaining what a short-term rental is and why are they so popular. Second, I'm going to talk about why they're such a good investment strategy. And finally, I'll share with you some of the other cool things you can do with your short-term rental that maybe others won't talk about. If you're ready, let's go. So what is a short-term rental and why is it so popular? First off, a short-term rental is a condo, a townhome, a single-family home that is furnished and is a living space where people can travel to for a short period of time, anywhere between 1 to 30 days, and stay there for a short period of time and live like a local essentially, or stay like a local. They can be located anywhere in the world, anywhere in the United States, and they can be anything, right? I've seen grain bins that have been converted into short-term rentals. I've seen box cars that have been converted into short-term rentals. Essentially anything can be converted into a short-term rental if you're providing an experience where somebody wants to go and stay for a period of time when they're on vacation or traveling. And really, they're considered an alternative to a hotel. If you think about it, for many, many years, the way that people would travel when they'd go somewhere, they would either camp or stay in some sort of RV or camper, or they'd stay at a hotel. Now, when you go to a hotel, you check in, you get one room with your family, you're all in the same room, or you might get two rooms. And if you're getting 2 rooms, 3 rooms, you have a big family, that's going to get really expensive. So the alternative to that is people thought, hey, I have a second home. I don't use it all the time. What if I let people stay there when I'm not staying there? Or people started looking at it and say, what if I bought this home in this area and I rented it out for people that were traveling and vacationing there? Thus created the short-term or vacation rental market. And the reason it has exploded in the last decade or so is we are currently living in the experience economy. People want to experience something rather than just being there, just going through the motions, right? So the experience of staying at a nice home that has really cool amenities with a hot tub or a pool is way different than staying at a hotel where you're kind of confined to one area and you can't move around. So that's one of the biggest reasons it's really exploded, is because people want that experience rather than just doing something they've always done. And another reason they've exploded is the desire for people wanting to travel, get out and explore places has only increased. The tourism numbers to our national parks, state parks seem to be going up every single year. People want to get out and explore and experience things. Another reason short-term rentals become really popular is they are moneymakers. It's become a really good investment strategy, especially in real estate. Real estate's always been a place where people can build wealth, and this is a new segment that has come out recently in the last decade or two and proven to be something that can be one of your best real estate investments out there. Because traditionally, people would buy a home, so maybe a single-family home or multifamily, and they'd rent those out in a long-term stay. People would lease out their apartment or they lease out a single-family home for, say, maybe 12 months or more. Whereas a short-term rental, you can rent it out for nights or weeks, and you're going to get a lot more money on that same dwelling. So take a single family home, and if you're renting that out at a long-term stay, let's say you're getting $1,500 to $2,000 a month. In that same home, if you rented it out short-term, let's say maybe you rented it out 20 days out of the month is all, but you could charge $200 a night. 20 times 200 is $4,000. $4,000 coming in from rents versus $1,500 to $2,000 is significantly more. So short-term rentals have started to outgrow long-term rentals as an investment strategy. Now, there's definitely a place for long-term rentals, and I think there's a lot of people who might even prefer long-term rentals over short-term rentals, but this is the reason they've exploded, is because people looking at a single family residence and said, if I can make this more of an experience, if I can do some things to enhance this home, people are going to pay me more to stay there on a nightly basis versus a long-term tenant. You know, it was probably about 3 or 4 years ago that I really started looking into short-term rentals. I'd heard about it. I've actually stayed in all sorts of Airbnbs. I've stayed in a single room before. I've stayed in a condo. I've stayed in homes. I stayed in a lot of different places, but when I started looking into it, interest rates were really low. And this is just after COVID. People kind of got that itch to get out and go traveling again. And every time I had traveled with my family, where do you think I looked? I wanted to stay in short-term rentals or vacation rentals. So when I started looking into it, I started looking that there's some pockets and there's areas throughout the United States that have a really high demand for people wanting to stay in vacation rentals or short-term rentals. And so I started really analyzing it, and I started picking up and buying properties. I bought probably 3 or 4 in the first 6, 7 months, and I partnered with a few people on these, so I didn't put all the money out myself. And then over the course of another additional 6, 7 months, I picked up a couple more. So currently I own 5 vacation rental properties, and I purchased those over the course of 14, 15 months. And when I did this, there were some strategies that I used that were vitally important. With a short-term rental, where it's a single-family residence, if you go out and get a loan, say on a single-family residence that could be a long-term rental or an apartment complex or a fourplex, you're typically going to pay a higher down. With any investment property, 20, 30%. But with a short-term rental, if it's an area that's desirable that you might vacation to yourself, a lot of times you can get a second home loan and only putting down 10%. So I bought a short-term rental in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Because it was the second home that I owned besides my primary residence, I only put 10% down to acquire that home. So the purchase price was $520,000. So rather than putting down, say, maybe $105,000 to $150,000, I put down $51,000 to acquire that property. And year one, that property brought in almost $85,000 in revenue. So for $50,000, bringing in $82,000 of revenue is a pretty good return on investment. And that's why short-term rentals are popular. That's why they work as an investment strategy, is because the cash-on-cash return can be really good. And to further explain that, let's talk about that cash-on-cash return. So for example, I told you I brought in $80,000 to $85,000. We'll call it $82,000 just to make the math easy, right? So obviously there's a lot of expenses associated with that. There's the mortgage payment. Obviously, I got at a time when mortgage payments were around 3.5%. So my mortgage payment, interest, taxes, everything included was about $2,800, right? And all my expenses added up, I netted, after I paid all my expenses and the revenue that came in from the rental, about $25,000. So think about this. I put down about, with closing costs and a few other expenses, let's say I put down $65,000 on the down payment of the home, the down payment plus the closing costs and a few other items. And the final revenue, my net operating income, was $25,000. So to putting down $65,000 and to receive $25,000 in return, that was almost like a 30% cash on cash return. So if you were to give me, say, $65,000 and every year I turn around and give you $25,000, would that not be one of the best investments you've ever made? Think about it. How long would it take before you got all your money back? It would take less than 3 years. That's why these can be such a good investment strategy, because you can put a little bit of money down sometimes, right? Even if you put a bunch of money down, eventually that cash on cash return is still usually north of 10% if you've done your due diligence research and found a property in a really good area that's producing really good income. Now, I'm not saying everything is roses and rainbows. It really isn't. But when you compare the risk to reward on some of the other strategies out there, short-term rentals end up being at the top of the list. And I do understand, with interest rates being as high as they are right now, it's a little bit more challenging to make it work, but it's a little bit more challenging to make it work on any of the investments, whether it's a long-term strategy, apartment buildings, fourplexes, single-family homes, storage units. Interest rates are high everywhere, so it's a challenge no matter where you go, no matter where you put your money. Now, here's a few other things you can do with your short-term rentals that are pretty dang cool. Number one, usually because it's in an area that is awesome, you can actually go utilize it and stay there yourself. I love staying at our short-term rentals. My family and I took a trip along the south part of the United States, southeast, and we stayed at our vacation rental in Orlando, stayed at our vacation rental in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and stayed at our vacation rental in Blue Ridge, Georgia. It was an awesome experience and just a lot of fun. And because we live close to one of our short-term rentals in Southeast Idaho, anytime there's a vacancy, we can go up and stay in there and enjoy it as a family. So being able to enjoy the property that you have in a nice area is also a double bonus for me when looking at short-term rentals. There's also home exchange sites out there like Home Exchange or Third Home, and they allow you to put your home up on these places. And if you allow others to exchange and stay at your home, you can stay at theirs, or you can earn guest points. And by earning guest points, you can use those guest points to then stay at somebody else's home. So this has been kind of cool. I've put my homes on Home Exchange and I've earned enough guest points in the times when we're not renting out our properties, maybe the slower or lower season times, built up enough points that my wife and I are actually taking our 25th anniversary this year and staying in London, England on a home exchange. So the cost to stay at this place is zero when we travel to London. So those are some other things you can do, is by exchanging or earning points to stay at other cool places throughout the United States or throughout the world, because a lot of these sites are global and you stay at global places. And I've done that a handful of times, is used home exchange and these points to stay at other cool places. You dive into the world of STR, there's a lot of cool things to understand, there's a lot of cool things to comprehend, but a short-term rental is an amazing investment strategy. Now, this is what I've seen with short-term rentals. This is why I love them, but I'd be interested in your feedback. Or if you're new, if you have any questions about short-term rentals, reach out to me, leave a comment. I'd love to engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by and watching the video, I have a free gift for you. It's aaronsfreetraining.com. Just click on the link below, and it's my short-term rental calculator. You put in all the data, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. I've used it for all my short-term rentals, the ones that I bought, the ones that I'm currently buying. And hey, once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.